Chatterbox. What do I have to tell y'all? Anything? No, you know, there's another show right after this. So Mariah's show is at 2:30. By the way, do you know where this is? Who's that showed up at the theater for this show? Okay, so this is here. That's here?
Yes.
It's here. Okay, so tomorrow Audra has her own concert, but today we're going to get some inside scoop on what makes Audra tick. So please welcome to the stage, Audra McDonald! Planted.
That's right.
First of all, what have you done fun on the ship?
I did the water slide.
That's not the ground drops underneath.
No, I haven't done that. It was closed. We wanted to do it.
You were going to do it?
Yes. I grew up in Fresno, California, and so I was like water slide capital of the world. And we didn't have any culture, but we had water slide. But so we did the regular water slides a couple of times, and then well, the kids were at Splash Academy last night. My sister-in-law and I went to the slot machines, and we played the 1 cent slots, and we started with, she started with $5 and I started with 20, and when we cashed in, her little cash voucher was for 9 cents, and you better believe we cashed it in. We were like, we'll take that. Should we take it in a nickel and 4 pennies? Do you want 9 pennies?
How long did that take to get that amazing amount?
We did, it was about an hour. We did pretty well.
It's called addiction. Okay. So the annoying thing about Audra is that she always has concert gigs, like every 2 minutes. So she's not even going to enjoy the full Broadway cruise. First of all, you know, she's married to hunky Will Swenson, who broke up with me in my mind to date her. And he also, you know, he's a Broadway cat. You know, he was a star of Hair, Sloping to the Desert. I met him when he was starring in The Trip to Macau. But he has a callback for a Broadway show, right?
Yeah,
So they're splitting the week on Monday. So because we're at sea, they couldn't do the Lucille Ball helicopter. Remember Alan Lucille, the helicopter? They couldn't do that, so he can't come till tomorrow.
He and my stepsons flew to, they just landed in Bermuda about an hour ago.
Great, no
So
funsies.
they're going to party on the beach today, you know, Will and the boys, and then they board tomorrow morning, and then I fly out Thursday.
So they get one wonderful day together where she has a show and the hair concert is at night. They'll see each other backstage. Now, if you follow, you need to follow Audra on Twitter, by the way. Her posts are always hilarious. And the recent one was like, what is it? No, I'm not the babysitter. Yeah. So what was that based on? She's had it.
I've had it.
Have you seen Will's children? They're like the whitest, like, most like we're from the Midwest. Okay,
So Will's stepson, well, no, they're his sons, they're my stepsons. They're blonde, blue-eyed, and blonde, and green-eyed. And if you've seen my little girl running around the boat, she's not the blackest child you've ever seen either.
No, when she was born, both Audra and I said she can pass.
She could totally when my daughter was born, she looked like Liza Minnelli, but like just in tiny form. She had like the full Liza do. Full hair, just like already. And should I tell the story about her being born and what the doctor said?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I was on bed rest for the last 3.5 months of my pregnancy.
She was, because we were going to do Dreamgirls. We were going to do a big concert of Dreamgirls. Even though she was pregnant, I'm like, it'll be fine. So she was going to not play Effie, she was going to play Dina pregnant. And then a couple months before, she was like, ooh, I can't do it. I was like, lazy. Turns out, flat out bed rest. Describe like what bed rest really is.
Bed rest for me, because I went into premature labor at 5.5 months pregnant. So bed rest for me was laying on my left side for 3.5 months. I could get up and go to the bathroom, and I had to get back down on my left side. You look at any pictures of me from then, it's actually very sad. My doggie, may she rest in peace, she died, she was 13 years old, but during those months, every picture is of me and my dog on bed rest. Every picture of me, my dog did bed rest with me. German Shepherd, just like, oh, bed rest, it's really bad. But my husband at the time, Zoe's dad, Pete, would, go out and do shows and stuff like that, and the doctor said you can't gain a lot of weight, because you're on bed rest, you're not going to get exercise, you have to be really careful.
That's the one fun part about
I know. So I was trying to be good, but I was getting really frustrated, and there was this wonderful burger place that delivered that was like across the street, and so what I would do is I would get our housekeeper, who ended up becoming our babysitter, Zoe's first babysitter. We'd wait until my husband would leave, and I'm like, okay, he's gone. Call Texas. Call Texas. And we'd get two humongous bacon cheeseburgers, and we'd eat them as fast as we could, and we'd open all the windows and curtains. So at the time, Pete got back and be like, did you eat one today? I'm like, yeah, I had a salad. Just some protein. Anyway, so, yeah, quinoa. So, the whole point of this backstory, this ridiculously long backstory, is that I was not able to have a baby shower, meet the baby's doctor, any of that stuff. So I had to order the baby's nursery completely online. I met the doctor via the phone and just said, hey, you come highly recommended. And he's like, okay, great, so here's what we're gonna do. When you deliver, have your husband call me, whatever day you deliver, the next morning I will be there to meet you and check on the baby. Like, great, all right. So I went in to deliver on Valentine's Day, 2001, and we called the doctor. Zoe was born at 2:59. We called the doctor around 4 and said, she's here. And he said, all right, I will be there tomorrow morning, and I will check on her, and then I will come meet you guys. Great. So he comes the next morning, and my husband had gone home just to take a shower, and that was like the hour that the doctor came. And so he knocks on my door, he walks in, and he says, oh, I'm sorry. I'm here to see Audra McDonald. And I said, yeah, that's me. He said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the woman who gave birth to a Zoe Donovan mystery. And I said, yeah, that's me. That's me. I said, are you Dr. Scope? He said, yeah. And I said, oh, hi, we've been talking. And he's like, hi. Then he starts with the no eye contact. Like he's like, well, I said, how is she? Baby's great. APGAR scores are really good. She's healthy weight, for a baby who was under duress of, still like, just here I am. There were duress of, preterm labor for 3.5 months, just no stress, she's in great shape. Is there any Caucasian in your family? I said, my husband's white. He goes, okay, baby's fine. I teased him about it for like a year. I finally asked one day, what was going through your mind? He said, you don't understand. I was having a moment where I thought, okay, she's got some big black husband, and she gave birth to a white baby. I want to get out of here. This is not my So, long story short is that I have never been the same color as my child. Although on this cruise she's getting darker by the minute because of all the sun, which is great. But we've just never been the same color. She looks like me, but we're just not the same color. And so the other day I was going shopping for the kids for the cruise. I had my daughter and my stepsons with me. And we were at Kohl's shopping for some, last minute, Minecraft shirts and swimming trunks. And Zoe needed a belt for one of her pair of shorts. And so I was getting them their last minute things. And the kids were just being, how kids are when you get to a cash register and they're tired. They're just being obnoxious and you want to sell them. And you're just... So they're just hopping all over the place. I'm like, you guys, stop it. They're just jumping around and talking and blah, 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 blah. And then we started noticing that at Kohl's, their mannequins don't have heads. So they don't have heads, but they've got bodies. And then, like, instead of actual feet that you put your shoes on, they've got actual heels coming out of their, like, stiletto heels. So we were looking at them, I was like, wow, that's awful. what if I had to chop off your guys' heads, you know? So just being really whatever. And so the woman, we go up and we're next, and so the woman starts ringing us up, and I'm just being silly with the kids and whatever, and talking about, what if I chopped off your heads? She's looking at me, looking at these kids, and whatever. She goes, so you're taking care of these kids today? So whose are they? It's like, they're mine. They're mine. She's like, well, you're not their caretaker. I'm like, no, I'm not the babysitter. They're mine. But I wanted to say, because if they weren't, I would have abandoned them here. And gone to a bar. Sorry, such a long story. So I got annoyed and tweeted.
What's it like when you visit, because Will is originally from Utah, so what's it like when you, first of all, what's it like when the two of you walk around in Utah together?
Well, Will is a former Mormon. He's what he calls a not any Mormon. But many of his family members are. I mean, actually, like he and his sister no longer practice, but his two brothers still do. And about half of his family still does, and they are very famous in Utah because his grandparents started a bunch of theater companies in Utah and in Glendale. So they're called the Hale Center Theater. So there's one still in Glendale, there's one in Arizona, and there's one in West Valley, Utah, and then there's one in Orem, Utah. And so he comes from this theater family. Also, Will did a lot of Mormon cinema. He was sort of like a Tom Cruise of Mormon cinema. So he's done all these movies, very famous Mormon movies. So he's known for that.
What's a Mormon movie? It's like promoting Mormonism?
Well, it's produced by Mormons, and they're fun stories. I mean, he did a really fun one actually about a Mormon boy band called Sons of Provo that is actually hysterical, because it's like a clueless Mormon boy band mockumentary. You should read. It's actually hysterical. But he also was like, the star of one called The Singles War, and it's about someone who's trying to start their life over, and one about a missionary who's just returned home called The RMs. Like, what do I do now? I'm returning missionary.
Was it a scandal that he was a star and now he's like an ex-Mormon?
Yeah, there's some people that are praying very hard for his soul right now, that's for sure. So anyway, when we walk around Utah, he gets recognized all the time, much more than I do. I hardly ever get recognized.
His 5 tummies aren't enough?
No, I mean, in Salt Lake City. I mean, there are people that recognize her there, but it's mainly they just flip out because they see Will Swenson and they get very excited.
Okay, so go back and think, you talking about your childhood. You grew up in Fresno. So what was your musical influences? Like my mom, you can see Hair when I was 4 years old.
Awesome.
And that's how I became obsessed with Broadway. How did you become obsessed with music?
Well, I come from a really musical family. Both of my grandmothers were piano teachers. My grandmother, my mom grew up in Virginia, and my mom's mom got her master's degree in music in like 1930 something, which was unheard of, a black woman getting, So anyway, so she was, and my mom's dad was a dean of St. Paul's College, which is an all-black college in Virginia. Anyway, so both of my grandmothers were piano teachers, and then my dad was a musician, and then all of my dad's sisters were singers.
Wow.
My dad's younger brother played the drums. So you kind of had no choice in my family. You just were musical. You just were born into it. It's just something that just was a part of who we were.
What kind of music was it? Woo!
Well, it was everything, because my mom, there was classical, lots of classical music, and we were all forced to learn the piano. We had to, so we were playing like little Bach fugues and all that stuff really early age because you just had a choice. And then gospel music, because my grandmother was also the organist at her church. So talk about confused. My Sunday mornings, I was raised Episcopalian and African Methodist because my dad was African Methodist and my mom was practicing Episcopalian. So I would spend the morning in Episcopalian church, very traditional, the incense and the processional, and we were basically the only black people in the church and all that. And then that would end at 10:30, and we'd go to West Fresno and go to Carter AME Memorial Church with and that would go until 1 o'clock. So I spent, my entire Sunday was spent in the church, and I was just very confused. And all I remember was that no one in my mom's church smiled and laughed and applauded, and everybody in my dad's church was loud and usually drunk by 1. Whatever. So I had that, and then I got into Broadway just because I auditioned for this dinner theater when I was 9 years old.
So you weren't listening to Broadway beforehand?
No, well, a little bit. My mom was into it. She really had Porgy and Bess and, you know, like Lena Horne, and like, we had like the album to our chorus line and all that stuff. My mom was, you know, hip enough to what the biggest shows were. And so those albums would make their way into our house. But it wasn't until I auditioned at 9 that I started and got into this dinner theater, and then Broadway became very, very much a part of it.
Did you watch the 20 Awards when you were a kid?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to Sutton Foster, they do this series in Broadway, I was talking to Sutton, and she said it's so weird that she would watch the 20 Awards and then just on the stage winning one, but she said it felt so odd because she said kids look up to her now, but she doesn't actually know anything. But when she was a kid, she looked up to Patty the Pony, and Patty the Pony didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So is it weird that you're on the reverse side now?
It is. It is. There's, I think when you look, I mean, I did the same thing, and I watched Patty LuPone, and I watched, you know, Carol Channing, and I watched all those. I watched, you know, like Michael Jeter and all those people up there.